Let's continue to look at this group of collage works. They're mainly by images, graphics, or text. This piece has a very large subject, a little girl who's writing. There are only two kinds of colors. One is bright yellow, the other is cream gray, so that when the two color blocks are combined, it is very stimulating visually. And the yellow shade has a sense of substitution here, which gives us a desire to explore the reason why it is there, why the color is there. And there is a blank space where the little girl is drawing. What does this blank space look like? In fact, when yellow and beige are put together, the contrast is very low, but we're willing to explore the beauty that the artist pursues. Then this piece, it has the intervenes of text, and this one looks like a postmark on an envelope. The text is vintage, with a stamp effect. The edges of the paper are old, so the atmosphere created by the picture brings a very engaging tone to us. There are lots of similarities between this piece and the one before. They are both in a lighter shade and also with plenty of color involved. The former one is purely monochrome, but this one has a rich color like yellow, red, and blue jumping around in the picture. The artist chose very small blocks of colors, but let's be aware that it is easy to be bedazzled when a lot of colors appear in dots. So there is a lot of blank space in this image to set off that part. It is a state of non-interference and harmony. This piece is actually very simple, and what we see is a vintage color photo. People walking down the old-fashioned plain with only the pattern of small grids in the background. These grids will bring us from the vintage scene to modern days, because I think these grids are contemporary stuff. This piece also uses old photographs. The artist has exaggerated the proportions of these characters and this hand. The man is very small, lying on the hand, and then there is a large yellow shape in the picture. Then we'll see a pinkish-green thread between the hand and the figure. It seems like those two men were struggling to climb up, and the man above was pulling them. The artist used exaggerated approach and presents an interesting picture. This piece also used vintage old photos. The artist used a marker to scribble on it with slashes. It was carefully done because no interlacing between the lines was made. So instead of seeing color overlapping in the screen, we see a rainbow-like color relationship. Then to add interest to the picture, the artist also added a small split in the middle of the picture. We can't see the character's eyes, but we can feel the presence of these eyes. This piece features two stylish girls wearing gas masks and leisurely walking on a rainbow bridge. What attracts us should be the artistic conception of the picture. It seemed relaxed, but we can see these gas masks and the mushroom cloud behind. This will make us associate the story or plot behind the scene, probably more of an association with a war. What seemed easy was actually very heavy. This piece is the same. We see an old picture in which an airplane flying over the sky. But it wasn't the bombs that were being dropped, it was candies. It gives us some hope. If this were true, the world would be a better place. So when we are designing an artwork, maybe we should find a more relaxed way of expressing the world instead of spending a lot of energy to draw it, not to put a lot of effort or time into the work, but to spend more time to think about it. And this work must have cost a lot of time to think, thus it finds a very good visual effect. What deserves our attention in particular in this piece is this yellow band-aid in the middle. What's originally a bland black and white photo immediately becomes vivid as it appears. Actually, we won't look into why such a band-aid appeared or what it tries to tell. It should be something for the viewer to imagine for themselves. About this piece, I think the beauty of it was that the artist made some omission. What was omitted? He blends the character and the setting into one. The shorts, the corset were completely integrated into the background, but we could still feel the character's whole body. Then there is another point, the effect of dot traces left by printing that the artist made produces a picture. In this piece, very little use was made of old photographs. We only see a girl in the bottom half of the picture. The picture is vintage. Much of the content is hand-painted using acrylic. There are also special paper applications. This piece is painted on a wooden board, so when we look closer or when we enlarge the piece, we can see that there are detailed texture in the picture, which is the texture of the board coming through. The photos reflect the relationship between people and the environment, and they give us a sense of how desirable people are about the nature or about the world. Now we're looking at a fashion illustration in which the artist decorates a face of the characters with all the good-looking graphic elements, or rather symbolic elements. Usually with so many graphic elements together, the picture would be messy. But this one doesn't feel that way, because the eyes are darkly painted and the mouth has a blank space. Then the lower part of the frame has some dots in it. These dots take a large place. Thus, a black, white, and gray relationship is formed in the picture at last. In addition, these elements matches the character structure, so the picture has a very harmonious sense. And it seems to have used graffiti. The color is in a simple black, white, and red relationship. When these three colors put together, it is definitely unquestionable. Next, we'll look at a collage of Dadaism and surrealism. The piece also has a large area of old photographs, as well as same color photos. There is a sharp contrast in the picture that we sense, and it seems dense smoke is coming out of the TV. This smoke gives us a sense of association that this is a disaster brought about by a war. We can also see underneath, relaxed and harmonious fire balloons were drawn, with kids playing on them. This kind of work brings more thought to us, like to aspire to a better life, to wish for a blue sky just like this picture. This piece is a combination of two images. It is very clever. The ingenious part is the baby's open mouth, which seems to be making a sound. The sound creates a frightening, a dreadful atmosphere to the people around him, causing them to run forward. The artist has combined two completely different photographs to make a very interesting piece. This piece is about a very calm water with the radiant sun in the background. A very sexy woman appears in the middle of the scene. We see a few characters at the bottom of the picture, sitting very leisurely, looking up at the sky, as if they were yearning for the goddess, or rather for the good life. These works we are seeing now are by the Greek female artist Eugenia Lolli. She was obsessed with old photographs in magazines and pictorials, using a mix of vintage colors with contrasting colors and patterns. The work presents wonderful pop Dadaism and surrealist colors. Her collages are always imaginative and childlike, humorous and witty. The composition is interesting and rather exaggerated. The colors are vibrant and they represent a non-existent but desirable world. what was not originally in the same space and dimension was cleverly put in the same one by the artist, which makes me wonder, is the world really going crazy? How come they all appear at the same time? It is the kind of work that gives us a very, very peculiar feeling. The piece we're looking at now is a large forest. It is viewed from very, very far away, and it is an effect of the vast forest. There is a little girl in the picture. She is lying there on a pillow, covered with a quilt, very much enjoying herself. Isn't this the kind of life that we want to live? Living in nature is the ideal life for everyone. The group we're now looking at is the work of a British photographer, John Stiezaker. He's particularly fond of collecting old photographs, old magazines, movie stills, and vintage postcards. This is the Mask series. It combines portrait and landscape photography to create a slightly creepy but gorgeous picture. This series originated from the artist's constant dream of himself floating under the bridge. The dreams are so real that he felt weird. Then he read a book saying that human perception of life and death is based on a bridge. So he began to collect photographs of bridges. The key to the work is the artist's precise grasp of the composition of the landscape photographs. It seems like we could get a glimpse of their inner whims. This cutting method creates a brand new visual effect for the viewers. Now, these are the works of Hannah Höch, who is a German Dada artist. She is also one of the few female artists of Dadaism. She specializes in creating Dadaism works with ready-made images and words. Hannah Höch not only promoted the art of collage at the time, but was also one of the initiators of the montage photo. Her works usually focuses on the problems about the rapid development of industry and culture. She is also one of the artists who defends women's rights through artistic creation. She condemns society's attitude towards women and criticizes old cliches. She uses magazine photos to create anti-logic works. From her work, we learn social succession of the Weimar Republic. She criticizes traditional modes of artistic creation and aesthetic perspectives. Vertan dismantles the artistic boundaries, which is the heart of Dadaism spirit.